Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark, and today we are doing another Piggy character. Now, I wanted to say this one was so fun to do, and I will say I did not feel as stressed. This might have been the most relaxing one to do thus far. So we are joining Willow today, guys. As you guys voted in the community tab. If you guys do want to vote for the next one, there will be a poll in my community tab. So yeah, go ahead and feel free to vote there. So yeah, now I will say I decided to do something different out of every Piggy character. I don't think I've ever done this with the characters. I decided to make Willow sad, and I actually wanted to show off her vulnerable, soft side, because although a lot of people see Willow as this bad guy, even I did for like the longest time. The ending of chapter 6 really just showed her in a different light, and I see her now, not as this completely just outright evil bad guy, but as this person who lost someone that she loved, William, and she's trying to get closure by that. So yeah, that was something that I wanted to do with this piece. Now at first, I was going to have her hands balled up in a fist and make it look like she was ready to defend herself, because obviously she's fearless. And yeah, I would say with the hair, I wanted to give her a more human hair type style, because I wanted to do something kind of different from what I'm used to. So yeah, that was something really fun to step out my comfort zone with. I also decided to do more wrinkles with the clothing. I think this turned out pretty well. Let me know down below what you guys think of it. So yeah, I've been trying to get better at that as well. And yeah, now I feel like with Willow, she actually has become one of my favorite characters because of that backstory. Just showing character development that's one of my favorite things about stories. And I'm glad that she is turning over a new leaf, and there's so many different endings. I'm excited to see the rest of the endings with Willow. You see her different sides, because she has many different sides. I will say that you can really tell that she has a lot of layers to her character, which I think is actually one of the biggest things when it comes to character development. And yeah, now as you guys can see, I am currently trying to make her leg standpoints. I was trying to go for her kicking her leg out, but that didn't work out too well. As you guys can see, it looks very strange and crooked. So I decided to do something more simple, and I just decided to make her sit down with her legs crossed and just look really sad and vulnerable, because obviously she lost William and she's really sad about this. So that is why she is sitting down like that. Her pose is her holding the thought of William in her hands, she's thinking about him, and she's like, my brother's not here. So yeah, at first I was going to go for a route of her hugging herself, but I decided to do something a little more easier. And yeah, because I feel like that would have been a little too difficult. But yeah, I think I still did a really good job with that. So yeah, I will say the legs crossing was one of the most difficult parts about this piece, and I'm glad that I actually got it down pat, because it was not easy, but I decided to continue with it because I really wanted. It's the first piece I felt was very personal, because this was something that made me emotional when reading. When playing chapter 6, it got very emotional for me at the end. So I felt like I really connected with this on a deep level, and I really just wanted to give her a hug, at the end of that chapter. So now I forgot to mention that this piece actually took 3 hours and 32 minutes. It actually beat my last piece by 2 minutes, because as you guys remember with Ducky, he took 3.5 hours exactly to create, and I was just like, wow, this is my longest piece here. But Willow took almost the exact same time, but by 2 minutes she beat him for the longest time. So that was something that I thought was crazy. Now I will say, here I was a little nervous with the shading and everything, because I was like, man, dark colors. At first I wasn't gonna use dark colors for Willow. I was going to use blue instead of black for her color, but then I would decide, okay, I can try to get around this, okay, because I feel like that's the thing about being artists. You gotta just face these things head on, instead of running from them. Just try to step out of your comfort zone. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of dark colors, because I feel like it's really difficult to try to shade. I was trying to find a color darker than this one. This one wasn't exactly black, but I was trying to find a color darker than this, and it was just so hard. So yeah, I did try to shade, and I feel like it didn't come out terrible. So yeah, now we are working on the scarf currently. I will say this part was actually difficult because the layers were so messed up. like the outline in the fill was very messed up, so I had to improvise there. Since I hadn't shaded yet, I couldn't merge the layers down together either on the coats. So it was just like there was like a bunch of fill in on a bunch of different layers, and I was like, oh gosh, how am I going to get past this? But yeah, the shading I was scared for as well with this, because I was like, how am I gonna shade when it's all messed up and distorted? Because remember, the different fill-ins had been in different layers, so I was like, oh gosh, I had to go in different layers and try to do this. Okay, we'll try it, but I don't know if it's gonna work out well. So yeah, that was definitely something that I was like, very nervous about, and one of the scariest things and most challenging things for me with this piece. But yeah, I was glad that I was able to overcome that right there. And yeah, I'm currently just, polishing things, making some nice outlines again and fixing some things up because of the mess that had been created from me trying to get that scarf over Willow. And yeah, and notice I did put it as blue because I thought too much black would look very odd for her. And yeah, now we are currently doing the eyes. At first I was going to make her look like she had sad eyes, but then I just decided to make it look like, she was closing her eyes and just crying, because she's like very vulnerable. This is like her vulnerable state right here. It's just her alone. Like, I wanted this moment right here to represent when she was by herself at the end of chapter 6 in that cutscene, and she was just sitting there like her hands are in this position like where she was holding something, and I thought that represented the thought of William still being there with her. So yeah, the nose wasn't too bad to do. I thought that it was going to be something terrible because I didn't want it to look I didn't want it to look too exact like the actual character, because I feel like that would look weird by itself. I wanted it to look more like an actual wolf's nose. So yeah, I did actually look up some references on how to do Willow. But yeah, I had looked up different art pieces that people had done for Willow. Like, people are very creative when it comes to these things. But yeah, I was like, gosh, how did they do it? They did such an amazing job with them. And yeah, now we are currently shading, as you guys can see. When I shade, I like to go ahead and just remove everything so I can see what I'm shading. And then as you guys can see, like I said earlier, I improvised, and I actually put some highlights there to make it look like it was shaded. And with her shirt, I did some nice dark shading, and I put a nice little white highlight in the middle to actually make it look more like realistic and make it pop out more. And I was like very impressed by that, because I had never done that before. Like, usually I would shade, but like I didn't think painting some white outline like you would with like the blush and the nose, I didn't think it would make it pop out more, but it surprisingly did. And I was like, judging it harshly at first. I was like, does this look good? But yeah, it did. Now I'm, shading the scarf. That part wasn't too bad. And I would say this was like a bit of a struggle. I was like, oh gosh, the end of the scarf and like this part of the scarf are like not matching up. And I had shaded in like a random piece of the scarf. I was like, oh gosh, this is not looking good. So I decided to, undo a lot that I had did there, and I just shaded like the ends of the scarf and make it look more realistic. And yeah, now I did shade Willow's hands a little bit. I decided to go all out with the shading on this one, because I remember I hadn't done that with Doggy. Like, I shaded most of him, but I didn't shade his different features. So in this one I decided to shade pretty much everything. Like, I think I shaded every single thing with this one, like from her scarf to her face, exactly like I'm shading her face right now, to her pants and her hair. And I was excited to do the hair because I had never actually shaded the hair before on any character. So yeah, I decided to shade it and see how it would look and give her some highlights. I would say I do wish that I had given her some white outline in her hair. But yeah, I'm signing the names, and yeah guys, this is Willow. Yeah guys, this is such a fun one to create. I'm so glad that I got to show off Willow's vulnerable side in this piece. And yeah, I would say this one is my second favorite out of all the ones that I've done, and I feel like I'm getting better with this. So yeah guys, I feel like it could have been easier if I hadn't had dark colors to work with, but I'm glad that I went up for the challenge. And I feel like the shading could be better in this one, but I am glad that I shaded more. I do wish that I had done some highlights for her hair, because I feel like that would have looked better. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think of this piece. I feel like it looks pretty good. And yeah guys, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Mark, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.